Hey everyone, today I want to show you a model that I've been working on to demonstrate how you can take $2,000 and turn it into $10,000 in 12 months using options. Now specifically using debit spreads. Now don't worry if you don't know what this strategy is, but all I'll say in this video is that a debit spread is a very simple yet very powerful options strategy. And what it can do is it can double your money if the underlying stock moves up just a little bit. Sometimes the stock doesn't have to move at all, but usually just a little bit in the direction that you want, either up or down, depending on the type of debit spread that you place. Now, I won't go into the details in this video. This is just kind of an introduction to an online course that I am creating, that I'm building to teach you how to do this. Now, I can't take 100% credit for this, although I've been using debit spreads for over 10 years and have had quite a bit of success with it. I have not reduced it down to kind of a concrete process and strategy, but I did read a book recently that kind of got my wheels turning and got me thinking that really if you do this in a disciplined, systematic way, you can take a sum of money and multiply it by a certain factor by the end of the year. And so I wanted to test this for myself, so I modeled it out. Here are my parameters that I assumed for this model. And now I think these are realistic based on my past experience with debit spreads. The probability of 100% gain being about 1 in 5 trades. I think that's true. Probability of a 50% gain about half the time. I think that's true. And probability of loss, 50% loss. So what we do is we cut our losses at 50%, so we don't let them go beyond a 50% loss on each trade. And then, so you can see the rest of my parameters here that are going into this model. Now, in the course, we're going to talk about how we are boosting, because theoretically on any trade, people say you have 50-50 chance of stock going up or down, right? That's kind of the conventional thinking, right? But there's a lot of things that you can do to tilt the probability in your favor, like looking at fundamental and technical analysis. Fundamental meaning, is the stock overvalued or undervalued, so that you're on the right side of that fundamentally. And then also looking at technicals, meaning looking at the price action, looking at where there is support and resistance, where supply levels are coming in, where people are selling, where people are buying this particular stock. So in looking at those both fundamentals and the technicals, we can actually achieve, I think, these numbers here. So all these assumptions went into this model. You can see on the left, this is a hypothetical year starting in June and going all the way through the end of May. And so you can see in this particular simulation of this model, this is how the account value changed. And I'm assuming that you do about 3 trades a month, so a little bit less than 1 trade a week, because I don't want this to be something that's very onerous for people, right? Myself, I don't have a lot of time to do this. A lot of people can't just sit in front of a computer screen all day and do this type of thing. So this is a strategy for the working person, right? Or somebody going to school, whatever. So you can see how this account balance grows. You have some losses every once in a while, because that's just what happens. That's realistic, right? And so this is the one simulation here that ended in this about $11,000 balance. So you see that's trial number 1. Now the cool thing with Excel is you can run multiple trials. So I ran 500 trials using this model to see what the ending balance after 12 months would be. Just like a coin, even though we know a fair coin has a 50% probability of heads or tails, right? If you are doing a test of, let's say, 10 flips, you're not always going to get 5 heads, 5 tails. You might get 7 and 3. You might get 3 and 7, you might get 6 and 4, you might get 2 and 8, you might get 1 and 9 sometimes, right? Because the law of large numbers comes into play, and those true probabilities only come out after you do many, many instances of that study, right? So we're doing 500 to try and get a true gauge of what the likely outcome is given our assumptions and given this methodology and this strategy that I would like to teach you. And the outcome, the results are here. You can see the average in this 500 instance study was about $10,000. That's why I'm saying turn 2,000 to 10,000 in 12 months. And then we won't go over standard deviation, but basically tells you plus or minus 4,500. You'll land there about 68% of the time. But you can see, the minimum, so the lowest amount in these 500 trials that we ended up with was 2,500. So you still made money. There's 0 instances of a loss. And the max, this is quite an outlier, was 31,000. I don't think that's very probable, but it did happen once. And our median is also around $10,000. It's just good. You want to kind of see your median and mean close to each other. Your median, I think, is the better number to go with because that eliminates some of your outliers out here. And you can see 98% of the time we were over $4,000, which means we doubled our money within that 12 months, 98% of the time. And then about half the time we got over $10,000, right? And 4% of the time over 20. So anyway, I hope this gives you a little bit of insight into what's possible with options. And I'd definitely like to teach you what this strategy is and how you can employ it. And maybe you don't hit 10,000, but I think that you can be successful. If you're interested in finding out more, then please reach out and sign up. Okay, so really quick, I just wanted to show you how we can rerun this 500 trial study. Just click in a cell, push enter, and the computer is going to recalculate all 500 trials and give us updated numbers. So you can see these numbers changed, but if we look back at our results, they're roughly in line with the prior results I was showing, right? Hovering right around $10,000 is the average. So you can just run this over and over to really kind of do more than 500 trials of this study. You can do thousands by just running this over and over. I thought that was cool. Just wanted to show you.